Once again, a huge...
Well, another day in the cellar weekender for Newcastle United. 4-0 victors last night against Girona, and we've just watched Newcastle United women's team beat AC Milan on penalties after a 2-2 draw. We now step up to the last game of this series. Newcastle playing Brest from France, and Eddie Howe was named a completely different team. Martin Zabravka will start in goal. Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär are involved. Lloyd Kelly makes his home debut. Jamal Lewis completes the back four. And then in midfield you've got Joe Willock, Bruno and Alfie Harrison, with William Asala, Miguel Almiron and Harvey Barnes in attack. So quite a strong side, I would say, for Newcastle. You look at that and you think they'll be looking to pick up that trophy at the end of the day. But Eddie Howe knows that he has got strength and depth, despite not bringing in any what you would call a marquee forward signing, without bringing in a big money signing so far. They are still in talks with Mark Gahey at Crystal Palace. But ultimately, Newcastle United fans will be looking for Newcastle to round off this cellar weekender with another good win against Stade Brest. And if they can, then it means it's been a perfect pre-season for Eddie Howe in some ways. Yes, they lost last week in the heat of Tokyo, but ultimately I think they've made a good account of themselves in pre-season, and they've prepared well for that game against Southampton. So, final game coming up, 4 PM kickoff here from St James's Park. So we didn't quite get the fireworks we got on Friday night against Girona, but Newcastle United still won. They still got a clean sheet, and a nice little touch at the end. They picked up the Cellar Cup for the second season in a row. Now that's something that is good for Newcastle in terms of helps continue that winning mentality. But I think ultimately for Eddie Howe, he will be glad pre-season is done now and he can concentrate on preparing for that Southampton game. The real stuff starts next weekend in the Premier League. Today's game was decided by Harvey Barnes' first half goal. Lloyd Kelly playing a great ball through in the first half, and basically Barnes picking it up on the left, whipping round his marker and drilling the ball past the keeper at the Leazes end. And that was enough for Newcastle. They could have had more, they should have had more. William Asula on his debut, seen a goal marginally choked off for offside, but ultimately I think what we've seen from him today was enough to confirm Newcastle's judgment on him initially. He's a young player, he's 21 years old, he's going to get better and better, and I think he brings a lot of different things to the table for Newcastle. He's got a big presence up front at 6'4". He looked very good in and around the box. There was that sort of aerial presence as well, so I thought he had a very good debut. He was my man of the match. If you agree with that, let us know. But I think really he's a player that now can take Newcastle forward, because he's got the experience of Alexander Isak around him, Callum Wilson around him. He's going to help Newcastle move on. It gives them some options up front. But really today was all about getting pre-season done. No injuries that we've seen. Everybody seems fine going in that build-up to Southampton. And Newcastle won here 1-0 today against Stade Brest. They go into the Southampton game next week on a high, and hopefully a new signing is around the corner too. Well, it's a lovely evening here in Newcastle. I'm just going to give you a little bit of extra content after Newcastle United rounded off the cellar weekender with a 1-0 win over Stade Brest here at St James's Park. Harvey Barnes got the winner. Newcastle couldn't add to that. They looked very tired and rusty towards the end. It was always going to be a big ask to, put on back-to-back sparkling displays after what happened on Friday night. Now the big question I'm going to ask you tonight is, Miguel Almiron, has he done enough to get into the team against Southampton? Is that your feeling? My feeling is he hasn't. I don't see him starting against the Saints next week. I think Jacob Murphy has the edge over him. He's had a much better pre-season. He's scored 5 goals. He's been involved in all kinds of assists, having a hand in goals here, there and everywhere. And basically he looks like the player that Eddie Howe will turn to for that game against Southampton. Eddie Howe telling me afterwards that he hasn't fully picked his team, but Almiron looks like a player at the minute who's here to stay. I know there's been a lot of speculation about whether he's going to be involved in the season ahead. Lots of links with the Saudi Pro League. His agent even talking about other Premier League clubs, but no one's come forward. Looks like a lot of the big spending's been done in the Premier League, so that doesn't look like it's happening either for Almiron. And it feels like he's going to be here to stay. We just seen him leaving the stadium with his family. Looked content with life. I can't see him banging on Eddie Howe's door to go. And what are we now? We are getting towards the end of the window. It's going to be really interesting to see how Eddie Howe deals with it. He's been linked with a few other wingers. I think in an ideal world, he would like to sign another right winger. I think that's what a lot of the fans who I've been talking to have said as well. There's been a lot of talk about players like Jared Bowen, but how could you accommodate Murphy, Bowen and Almiron, or Murphy and Almiron and anybody else? Because the squad is tight anyway. There's going to be probably 3 players who don't get an opportunity in the next few weeks. So an interesting time. Today I thought Almiron was given an opportunity to impress the boss. First half did okay, second half not so well. I think this is going to be really difficult now for him to get into that opening lineup, but that's what I'm asking you today. Is Almiron, what's going to be his role at Newcastle this season? It doesn't feel like he's going to be the first choice, an automatic pick, which he once was. And remember, he had that golden period a couple of years ago where everything he hit went in. That doesn't seem to be happening for him at the moment. So yeah, an interesting debate, because he can be a star player on his day, but at the moment it's going to be difficult for Eddie Howe to find a place for him in the squad. So let's see what happens with that one. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for all the comments last night on YouTube. Unbelievable response to what I was talking about in terms of the finances of the team, on Mark Gahey, the situation there. So much to talk about on that, but ultimately Newcastle United have finished the Cellar weekender here with another win, another clean sheet, and they lifted that trophy right at the end. So it's been a positive day all round for Newcastle United.